Well, welcome back to the When I Heard This podcast. My name is Nate Robbins. I'm here with Pastor Joseph Tillman, Demon, Dr. Pastor
Yes.
Tillman,
Yes.
Jr.
All of those things are correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Little out of order,
That's okay.
but we made it there.
Right. And I respond to about anything.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Okay, champ.
Yeah. Appreciate it, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. So, thanks for coming back.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes.
Good to be here once again.
Yep.
Yep.
I had a really good time last time.
As I did as well.
It was so good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Round 2.
Yep. And I went home. Well, I stayed here. And I thought about it over and over and played all the good moments in my head all night. Yeah.
I just left and went to sleep.
Yeah, while I was laying on my bed, on my stomach, with my feet going back and forth in the air. Like this.
Right. That's what you were doing?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just dreaming about when we were daydreaming about when we were doing the podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was something.
It was something.
Anyway, more
Yeah.
dating this time.
More. Yes, sir. More
Still
dating.
doing dating.
We are.
And I know that we have covered some of this stuff before, but yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Sort of.
It's good to put it all into just one episode,
one
though.
thing,
Or
so that people can get
multiple
one
episodes.
giant old chunk of it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Read the ad again.
Before we get started today with our questions, we want to shout out our sponsor, the Discipleship Group. The Discipleship Group is a systematic training for Christians who want to go deeper and grow stronger in their relationship with God. In these courses, Dr. Jay Zen brings you over 4 decades of study, pastoring, and teaching to equip the saints to make disciples. The Discipleship Group is a series of 6 books, each book consisting of 26 weeks. Therefore, it's 3 years of study. Each week has articles written by the author to read, a chapter from a supplemental book like The Passion for God or More Than a Carpenter, The Master Plan of Evangelism, and there's scripture readings each week from the Old Testament, New Testament, and the Psalms. I've used the Discipleship Group resources for over a decade. I've used them in groups of 2 to 3 people. I've used them in small groups up to 12 people. And I can tell you, as a pastor, as someone who spends a lot of time making disciples and meeting with others, that the Discipleship Group resources are the best that I have found for growing in our faith and for encouraging us to go and make disciples ourselves. Go to discipleshipgroup.com, check out their resources, find out information about Dr. J, and I'm telling you, you will not regret it.
That one wasn't as good as last time.
My bad.
Yeah.
Getting
It was
kinda-
still very good, though.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Getting kind of sloppy on that. I don't know.
No, you were great.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all.
Patreon, $5. It's a
Yeah.
website. You can go there.
Yep.
You can type When I Heard This podcast into the search bar,
There you go.
and then we will show up, and then you can click on that, and then you will see a series of other buttons and text and graphics and website things,
right.
and you can poke around in there and send us $5 a month, and then for us to feel special.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it was a good job of telling people what to do when they actually got to Patreon.
Yeah.
Because they could be getting there and be like, I have no idea.
Right.
Like, I'm here. What do I do now?
Yeah.
So, like,
How do you even spell Patreon?
right.
Yeah.
So, good job in letting people know.
Patreon.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Good
.com.
job letting people know how to get there.
Yeah.
And what to do. Yeah. And support us and encourage us, and we'll just keep going.
WhenIHeardThispodcast.com is a website.
It is.
You can find stuff about us, about things,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can buy stuff
Yep.
like T-shirts and sweaters.
Yep. And support the cause. And people will ask you, what's
Yeah.
that all about? And you can tell them about the podcast.
Yeah.
So it's like advertising as well.
Yeah, and you can figure out how to describe this podcast.
Right. That's completely on you.
Yeah.
Because I still struggle trying to describe what we do.
Yeah.
So,
I just say, I ask a pastor whatever I want.
yeah. And I just say I get asked by you, a comedian, they get asked whatever they want to ask, and I have to answer pretty much unfiltered.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Except that you make me cut stuff out.
well, I do make you, but sometimes I have to. The unedited is, it's wild. So anyway, sometimes we have to cut stuff out.
Yeah. When I'm dead, someone's going to go look through all of the unedited stuff and be like, what?
Oh, my dear Lord.
Wow. You guys cut a lot of stuff out.
Yeah. If you think we're pushing the envelope now, you have no idea.
We're not really pushing the envelope. No.
No.
We could try it more, though.
No, let's keep it where we're at. It's enough for me.
Fine.
All right.
The problem is if I push the envelope, you just tell me to cut it out.
I know.
All right. And then go to social media and all of them.
Yeah.
And every place that plays stuff.
Yep. Like, subscribe.
Yep.
Notification. All that stuff.
Yep.
Comment.
Yep.
Share.
We're getting there on YouTube, so go to YouTube and click the thing.
Yeah.
And Rumble's going faster now.
All right.
Yeah.
What up, Rumble?
It's very slow because nobody's on that thing.
I was going to say,
but
I forget about Rumble sometimes. My bad.
And then X, nobody cares on X. And
personally, I don't care about
literally
X.
No one cares. And then like 13 people care. I think at this point in time. And then Facebook, we got a bunch of people on that thing.
A whole bunch of people on that thing.
Yeah. We rocking Facebook.
Yeah, come join the club on Facebook.
Yeah. I don't know why Facebook.
Yeah. I don't know.
I feel like Facebook's turning into old people.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm getting old, so I feel like it's a lot of my friends too.
Yeah. We're agreeing with we just said the same thing. I don't know what you
I just hate that I'm now in the old category, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still on there, but every time you go on there, it's just like, oh, my friend's getting married, and then add, influencer, add, and then, oh, this person died, and then you leave the site. That's Facebook.
It can be a little better than that.
Yeah. All right. Cool. More dating.
Yes, sir.
Last time was very fun.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. All right. So, why do you care? Okay, so we talked last time about all the do's and don'ts physically during dating.
Sure.
And then the process that you would like to have during dating, which basically was, well, I won't cover it again.
No.
But yeah. The process of what you think Christian dating should be.
Okay.
Or what general Christian consensus.
Yes, a general, correct.
Yes. And so why is that so important to you? Like, why is it so important to you that your children follow this process when they're dating?
Right.
And not go beyond the things and follow the Starbucks and the married.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure. Okay. And so number one, I am not.
You should write a book. From Starbucks to married.
Maybe I will
do it.
Now I got some time on my hands. I'm going to do it. Before my kids get all crazy serious in dating and be like, here's a copy, and all of them a copy.
Yeah.
I'll sell 3 just right off the bat. No, but I think for me, like, okay, number one, I realize that it's never going to go like perfect, right? Like, I realize that more than likely for my kids, it's not going to be like this perfect model. Like, I understand that.
So you think what you said last time is the perfect model?
I'm not even saying it's the perfect model. I'm just saying I know they're not going to do everything perfectly. Okay. That's all I'm saying. All right. And so, no, I think the when we were talking, you keep bringing up Starbucks, but like the idea of doing dates in public, the idea of not being alone privately and those kind of, in private situations, that kind of stuff. Like, for me, it's not just protecting you physically. There is the emotional part too. And then I think it can be all tied up. So one of the reasons I think for me, right, that like we don't just date to date, or we don't just, you want to date with intent, I guess. And I'm not saying necessarily intent to marriage, but intent to find out about this person, right? And so I'm gonna, and that's why I say it's holistic in its nature of, I want to get to know this person, I want to know their personality, I want to know what they think spiritually, all those kind of things, right? And so I know my kids are, again, not going to follow it by the letter, but my hope is that it's protecting and guarding their own hearts. Okay. And the hearts of the other, right? So, because like I would hope that in everything we do, whether it's dating or work or whatever, that we're doing what we do to honor the Lord, to love God, to love others. And so I would hope that, my kids date and, they break up with someone or they get broken up with.
You hope they get broken up with?
Well, no. Okay. Hold on. Let me finish the thought. No. No. All right. Let me finish the thought. If they're dating and they get broken up with, or they break up with someone, okay, that my hope is from that they will go, so let's say they break up with someone, but the other person would still be able to say, yeah, but I still was respected and cared for and honored during the process, right? And if they're broken up with, and let's say they may be heartbroken about it and upset about it and those kind of things. I mean, that may still be there, but they could at least go, but that person and the situation we had ourselves in was honoring and respectful and caring. And, I didn't feel used. I didn't feel misled. I didn't feel manipulated, all that kind of stuff. And and
you think what do you think would be manipulative or misleading?
Well, I think that,
or using or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I do think that whether intentionally or non-intentionally, we all have the capacity to mislead people in those kind of dating relationships by making either promises that we don't keep, by, making statements like, I love you, prematurely, by cheating on the other person, right? Like all of those things can happen. Okay. And so my hope is that, again, within a proper, or within a healthy, I say proper is not probably the best word, and the healthiest environment that we can create for dating, that will be the case, that they would walk away going, okay, that was a healthy, interaction with that person. That was a healthy relationship, not just interaction, but a healthy relationship with that person. Whether it, because I think the stat still is that it takes about 3 months for, individuals really to get to know one another, because it takes about that long for individuals to kind of drop the facade, of who they think the person wants them to be.
Oh, I think that takes longer nowadays.
You think it takes even longer?
Yeah.
And it may.
I think it's 6 months.
Really?
Yeah. I think you got to do 6 months.
Okay. And you're probably right.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case,
especially if all you're doing is having sex.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, and that's what I'm saying too. Like, if that's not part of the equation,
right.
So,
and there's more
interacting,
non-sex time,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's more talking and conversing about, your what you like, what you don't like, your hopes, your dreams, your fears, your whatever, right? And so, but whether it's 3 months, whether it's 6 months, it takes time for the facade to drop and for you really get to see who that person really is, and so I think that's the thing. It's like, all right, now I get to know that person, and hopefully that person is, like, when I get to know them, that I discover, oh, I like this person, or maybe you realize I don't like this person. This relationship ain't going to work. Like, move on, but hopefully it was in a healthy environment. And so because there's any dating relationship, there's going to be, a sense of, whether you call it heartbreak or remorse or, whatever, like grief, like, oh no, that didn't work out. That's hard. Yeah. But again, it was done in a healthy way. We honor one another. I felt honored. I felt respected, and we can move on. Hopefully more intact and healthier than in just a kind of flippant relationship where maybe that honor, that love, that consideration wasn't given.
The original question, though.
Okay.
Why do you care so much to to make sure that your children do this?
Okay. Well,
and do this right.
And do it right. Because I care.
Like, why do you care?
Because I care for my kids.
Okay.
Like, if we're making it personal about me and my kids, because I care for my kids.
I guess I'm trying to make it personal because I want to know what the actual thought process in your head is.
Sure. Yeah. Because I want to care. Because I want to care for my kids. Like, because I do care for them. I do love them, and so you do want. And I don't want them. And I know in some circles it comes off like sheltered, right? Like, I don't want to shelter my kids or be overprotective of my kids.
Right.
Because as they get older, right?
That's kind of where I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Like, when does...
Because as they get older, they're going to have to make their own decisions and choices, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they're out of the house.
Yeah.
They're at college or whatever. Like, they're going to have to make their own decisions and choices of how they're going to approach dating. Mm-hmm. That's on them. And so it's not like I'm going to like be calling and like, all right, now, how did you, like they're going to have to make their own calls and their own decisions.
How many buttons?
No. So, but I think that's the thing. It's like, I realize they're going to have to make their own decisions. So what I want to, because it's the same thing, whether it's dating or finances or their relationship with Jesus or their work ethic or whatever, right? Like, there's things that I'm hoping to principally still within them now as kids. Even I say kids, I mean, I almost have like my youngest is 12, so I've pretty much got 3 teenagers, right? And so I understand that
you're screwed.
But you just hope that you give them.
So what
counsel.
are you going to do? Are you going to like? You're just going to be running across everywhere, just yanking them vaudeville style with a cane?
No. I know. That's again. They have to make their own calls and decisions. Okay. But I do like all I'm trying to do is just say, hey, here's my counsel. Mm-hmm. Here's my wisdom. Okay. And the wisdom probably especially from my wife and I, it's not just mine, it's ours, right? My wife and I together. And so, and we had 2 very different, dating experiences, right? So
didn't you date each other?
Well, okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah, of course we dated each other, but I mean prior to that. Okay.
Okay.
And so like for my wife, she had one boyfriend before me, and so there wasn't she didn't do a lot of dating, like, pretty much no dating in high school.
And you guys were both virgins out of when you got married.
Yeah, we were both virgins when we got married.
That's crazy. Nobody does that anymore.
Yeah. Well, we did.
You're the only one.
And we're not actually. And that's another great thing about doing the premarital counseling is you realize, hey, there are people who make it. And so it's good. But they made it to premarital counseling.
They left it like, good, we told Joseph.
Yeah. No. So anyways.
They're in the car in the church parking lot.
No, stop. All right. So it's like, so Melanie, had her, experiences, and then like for me, especially within college, dating a lot more, so we both kind of have our own, perspectives of how dating, went and how it was and all that kind of stuff. And so for me, I would say some of the relationships were honoring and respectful in the dating relationships I had. Mm-hmm. We're honoring and respectful of one another, where I was honoring and respectful of the other person. And there were some where it wasn't that way. And I have regrets over how, I wasn't as honoring and wasn't as respectful of that individual as I should have been.
And you would consider being honoring and respectful being a generally nice person to them and also not doing anything physical to them.
Correct. With them. Yeah, correct. Like, yes. Like, so like where the physical.
So you think every time people not married have sex or do anything sexual, it is disrespectful to the other person?
And I'm not okay. So here's the thing: like in the moment, it's probably not considered disrespectful, okay, or dishonoring in the sense of because oftentimes both parties want it, right? Like, I mean, it's a consensual like adult relationship, like
Yeah.
And so, but what I'm like looking at it is like big picture perspective, okay?
Okay.
Like, yes, in the moment, no, it probably wasn't disrespectful or dishonoring in the way that in the sense that both individuals agreed, were said yes to it, da da da. But what I'm saying is like
signed the contract.
if that's what you choose to do,
I'm going to do this to you. Please initial
right.
here.
And only this.
Yeah.
And so,
and only
sorry. And so,
just this one thing.
Right.
And that's all.
And so, but I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
Yeah.
All right. And so I think that
I'll have to respectfully decline.
that's fair. And so, but my point just being is, no, so in the moment it's probably.
I'd like to add an appendage. Is that the right word?
Well, you did not misspeak. Okay, so I realized that in the moment, again, the other person probably doesn't feel disrespected or dishonored in the moment. Okay. So I realized that. Like both parties probably don't. I'm just like looking at big picture, big view of it, right? Like in other words, I'm looking at it going,
so you think
if I'm not going to end up in a marriage relationship with that person in particular, right? Like particular, if I'm not going to end up in a marriage relationship with that individual. Now the question really is more of should we have done that? Especially in two different. Let me approach it from two different perspectives. One, the spiritual, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, so for me, that wasn't pleasing in the eyes of the Lord, so I shouldn't have done that. So I did not, so there's that part. But the other part is the fact that when sex is happening or there's intercourse happening, there is emotional connections that are occurring, right? That deepen more beyond just the physical aspect. And so I do think that you can look back at it and say, man, now I've made so it's, especially when there's a breakup, the breakup is now harder, on one or two, one of the parties. And because the intimacy has grown too quickly, it's almost like we're moving intimacy further along than we should, quicker than we should.
Well, I don't think a lot of people, after they break up with someone that they had sex with,
right,
look back and are happy about it.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
right.
At least they don't say it.
Right.
They're not like, yeah, the relationship was bad. I mean, they say it sometimes, but when like they're a supermodel or something, you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but people aren't usually happy about it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It's not like in the moment you feel that disrespect or that dishonor, but just in the big picture looking at it, right? Okay. Does that? I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so that's why I feel like so
that's why you care.
Yeah, because I want people healthy and whole, and I think healthy is probably a word I didn't use last time that I probably should have used, because we're looking for healthy dating relationships, not perfect, right? Healthy. We're looking. And again, and that's, I mean, I would hope we would want healthy relationships in all aspects of life, but especially in a relationship like that's dating, that's definitely much more exclusive and intimate. You want it to be as healthy as it possibly can be. And again, when I say guarding the heart, as I said earlier, I get the fact that at any breakup level, there's going to be hurt, right? And so I'm not saying we can guard the heart in the sense of protecting it from all pain or all hurt or all grief or sadness, but what I am saying is that I can walk away from that relationship going, yeah, but I felt really honored, respected, loved, treated right. We didn't move into a deeper level of intimacy than we should have. That's what I'm saying.
So when you do, okay, so what if people first time they met, they got, they did it.
Right.
But then they get married later.
Okay.
Do you see those people in counseling and stuff?
Yeah, I have.
And how does that go?
Both in premarital and in marriage counseling.
Okay. Is that bad later?
It's not. I think it depends.
Okay.
Okay. Because it depends on the situations they're coming from. Okay. So for example, let's say for both of them that they're not Christians, right? They're probably not going to think about it maybe as much. Like, in other words, we had sex. It was part of the relationship. We continued on, got married. And so they're not going to think about probably that part as much, like the sense of, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't have had sex. They might not think about that. What I have encountered, and I'm not saying this is true across the board.
Mm-hmm.
What I have encountered in marriage counseling in particular, not like premarital, but like more like marriage counseling,
mm-hmm.
is we had sex before in our relationship and now we're married. And let's say they dated and engaged, and let's say the process took a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it was. Now they're married, and now they're looking at it going, the wedding night really doesn't mean as much. Sex life is not fulfilling as it once was.
Okay.
And I think the reason is because sex is framed probably in a different perspective in the dating, engaged, heightened, kind of hormones and excitement and love and, kind of, I say love, like I'm putting that in quotes, like that romantic, feel good love, like, where it's just like, you kind of like living on a high, if you were,
So you think these
emotion.
people think sex isn't as good anymore?
Correct. And then they get married.
With this person.
Correct. And then they get married, and I'm not saying it like flips a switch. All I'm saying is like, now they're like in the steadiness of life and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And sex before was framed in this kind of excited, full of, energy, emotion in this dating part. And now it's like, well, we're here, we're together, and it seems like sex becomes less fulfilling. And again, I'm not saying that's the case for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this has been something that has been shared with me when doing marriage counseling.
Okay.
And so and often they don't understand that. Like, all they know is sex was good here, sex not as good here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And by good, we really mean like fulfilling, satisfying, or even the desire to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think those are kind of the things that kind of happen there. And that can happen. And so that can happen for Christian, non-Christian. For the Christian, though, in particular, I think the wedding, I think there could be guilt and shame if they have sex beforehand, like especially if they're both really wanting to follow the Lord, and especially if one of them was a virgin before that, and they were hoping to be a virgin, all the way up to their marriage
till they died.
But to their wedding night, they were hoping to be a virgin until then, and if that didn't happen, they may feel like something was kind of stolen or taken from them, and even if they realized they were part of that process, nothing was like. Right. Like they said yes to it. Like they were, again, part of it.
It's the dude's fault.
Well, it can get there, right? Like it was, why didn't, but I think most, whether it's the male or female, they understand they both were complicit in it, right? But sometimes you can feel like the guilt of it or the disappointment in, man, I wish we could have made it to our wedding night. But if that was the case, often whether it's in marriage counseling or premarital counseling, we can help people frame that in the sense of, yeah, okay, that did happen, like that was there, but it doesn't have to mean that that something damage. There wasn't like damage that was beyond repair, quote unquote, right? Like and you don't have to live in that guilt and shame, and so we're able to help couples reframe that in a much more sense of, okay, I'm forgiven. I'm renewed. I'm with this person. God has made we've entered into a covenant that's new, a new covenant with each other.
Yeah, I guess I don't get that.
And so,
like, if you're still married to the person, then who cares?
Right. And I think a lot of it is just moving the guilt and shame, so that when they come into the marriage relationship, they don't feel guilt and shame when they have sex. Because what can happen is a pattern can develop of guilt and shame, guilt and shame, guilt and shame. And now psychologically, sex becomes associated with guilt and shame.
Oh.
And so now it's kind of helping them remove that part.
Okay.
And so we have to go through that too. But all I'm saying is, in all these situations, you end up having to do some kind of counseling and therapy. And whether it becomes a big thing or not a big thing, to help people move past those things. Well, if you never had sex before, right, marriage, then you're not even having to deal with that.
Okay. Right.
And so now I'm not even having to worry about these things. It's just, I'm just getting married, and there's usually an excitement of having sex on that wedding night. And, and now sex is always
for 5 seconds.
Right. Because that's about how long it lasts. Yeah. So,
wow. I've been waiting my whole life for this.
Yeah. Well, we tell couples all the time.
Can I say that was boring?
We tell couples all the time, like don't it. You never know. Like it could be these like awesome experiences, moments, whatever. But we're like, sex is better later on. Like it just is. You know.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, and so I think that's
you have to get bored of them a little bit for it to be more fun. It's got to be not as exciting to see them naked anymore.
Yeah.
Your mind's got to wander a little bit.
Well, yeah, it'll last a little longer. Then you get older, and that comes into play too.
Yeah, never mind.
I don't have energy. Yeah. So, but I do think that's going back to and we're like, if we're thinking about like my own kids, right? Like we want them to be able to have, healthy relationships, and where the wedding night really does like mean something. And if one of them was to have sex before marriage, it's not like we're condemning them or we're writing them off. Or
I want to have sex before marriage, and not a damn thing you do is going to stop me.
Yeah. Well, that's their choice, right? And so,
bye.
Right. That's their choice. And so, but again, my wife and I feel like we've reaped benefits from both being virgins going into marriage, and again, we are not saying that you have to be that way to have a fulfilled marriage with a fulfilled sex life. Okay. Mm-hmm. We're not saying that's the only way to go into it. We just know it from our perspective that was actually like a gift for both of us. And so, we would love that, not just for our kids, but for others as well.
So when I said I was going to ask you this last time because I forgot. Okay. When should Christians be saying "I love you"?
Oh yeah, that's a great question.
In a dating relationship.
In a dating relationship, and I'll look back at mine and say that, there were relationships where I never said "I love you." In dating relationships that I had prior to my wife, there were relationships where it was said pretty quickly, and I think that, again, it's like sex in the sense of it escalates the intimacy and it together. But also when you say that, you can start thinking and dreaming about futures together prematurely. And I think, and I'm not saying that all of these things are just awful and terrible. Okay. What I am saying though, is it moves the heart forward in a way that if you didn't say those words, that maybe it can help, again, guard that heart. In other words, create a healthier environment. And if the relationship ends, there's not heartache or devastation or where someone can feel misled or manipulated. Like, well, you said you love me,
right?
But obviously you didn't because of X, Y, or Z. And especially if that
it's not my fault. You took me seriously.
Right. Like on you. Right. Yeah. No, but I mean, that's part of that.
I said it from the stage. Get over it. We're done.
But I do think that's part of, like, when you say those words, it really does kind of open someone up going, okay, they really do genuinely care about me and those kind of things. But if you're just being flippant with it and there's no real meaning to that, I think it's how we're using that phrase in our tense and our words behind it, and how individuals can take it. And so, again, there may be someone that's like listening to this and be like, man, I knew that was the person I was going to marry from point one, said I love you, and, like,
that's nonsense.
That was it, right? You think that's nonsense?
That's wrong.
Yeah. So
those people are wrong.
Well, yeah, maybe so. But I do think there's people that approach it in different ways, right? But I'll again, just for me, I would hope that it would be said when there was a seriousness of, this is the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with.
Okay, I have a new question.
Okay.
It's like every step of this process is, I'm not going to do this unless I know I'm going to spend the rest of my life with them. Mm-hmm. So why not just get married? Yeah.
No, okay, so...
I don't get it.
Yeah, can I be honest? I actually think people...
I feel like you've said this 3 times.
Yeah, I think actually people should date for a shorter period of time, be engaged for a shorter period of time, and get married more quickly. Yeah, so I think actually individuals, like, whether they're younger or older, probably could have a shorter dating period, and a shorter engagement period, and get married quicker. Like, I actually would be for that. And here's what I mean by shorter, okay?
Okay.
I think oftentimes we end up in these situations where it's like you've dated for a year, or more. You're engaged for a year. Like, I think especially engagement periods can be shorter. Okay. And so, like, for me, again, this is just Joseph speaking. Okay. Like, I was like, all right, for me, from my perspective, when I was dating Melanie, we started dating in December. It was really in July that I was like, okay, I can see myself, like, with her, like, for the rest of my life, like, being married to her. That's when I first said I love you. Okay.
Okay.
And then the next month, I actually went shopping for engagement rings. Because I knew, all right, let's, and then our engagement was, a little more than, well, it was about right at 6 months was our engagement period.
Okay.
And I think you can do engagements in 4 months, honestly. I know a lot of people say, well, I got to prepare the wedding and all that kind of stuff, but we counsel couples to say you can have that done in 4 months. And again, I'm not saying it has to be that way. All I'm saying is you're not wrong. The dating process and the engagement process can be cut shorter and brought back to shorter periods of time. So if it takes, like you're saying, 3-6 months to get to know someone, and then at that point you're like, no, this is the person I want to be with. Okay. Like, if y'all are both on that same page, let's get engaged and, let's move on. And so, and I will say this, there are individuals that are younger, let's say they're like, they're out of high school, they're, let's say around 20 or whatever. And some people may think that's too young because they don't have this set up. But I actually think that if getting married at that younger age is actually not the worst thing.
Now that I'm older,
yeah,
I think you're right.
Really? I'm actually surprised to hear you say that.
I think.
Okay.
Why are you surprised?
Because I thought you would say, no, that's just being stupid. You don't know what you're doing when you're that age. That's just being...
No. I'm thinking about it like, it's a lot easier to accomplish some of the things that you want to accomplish when you're living life with somebody else.
Yes. And I would agree with that.
Like, when you are... sharing a 1-bedroom apartment with somebody else instead of having to do it all yourself and have help with everything else.
Correct. I think it can actually, it's interesting because people will say, well, you don't have your careers established. You don't have right? I actually think financially it can actually set you up in a better position.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. And so,
and I'm thinking strictly financially on that.
Right.
On that stuff.
Yeah.
But it'd be a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
And it seems like if two people go off and start their careers and do whatever, that you're getting farther apart than you are coming together.
Yeah. And what we have found, and this is again, I'm making generalizations here, but what we have found is that individuals that wait longer, like, especially if they're like, they've had their own, independent lives and careers, and they've been living by themselves, making their own decisions, or at least living, in a situation where they're not under, the mom and dad's roof, right? Yeah. They're making their own decisions for career, for finances, for, just their day-to-day activities, their hobbies, the way they live life, go about life. People can become set in their ways pretty quickly, actually.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you may look and go, man, 19, 20, 21, isn't that young? But I would say, yeah, but you're actually a little more moldable at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You push that off later, and it's like now individuals have to learn to actually give up some independence in being married and learning how to live and share space with another person and make decisions in a joint manner rather than just in an independent manner.
Yeah, I lived by myself for 7 years, 11 if you count college.
Okay. Yeah.
And then got married and had a wife and a kid all at the same time.
And that was just easy, right?
That was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So
I mean, it worked out, but
sure.
But yeah, it was different.
Yeah. And it probably took longer to learn and to mold and to fix some things. So
yeah.
Yeah. And again, we're not saying that, I'm not saying, oh man, if you don't do it the exact right way, it's just going to be not disaster. No, I'm not saying that at all. We're just talking about the healthiest manner. Right. Yeah. And oftentimes when we're talking about those things, I realize there are some ideals put into that, and we don't always meet the ideals, you know? But if I feel like if we don't shoot at least for an ideal, we're selling ourselves short. Like I get the fact that, often we don't hit the ideal. There's like the real deal that's actually reality. But if we don't have an ideal we're shooting for, we may even fall shorter than what we would want or intend to.
If Christians are dating the perfect way that you think they should. Okay. What is, can Christians cheat on each other while dating? Is that possible?
No, I think it's very possible.
Okay.
I mean,
if they without having sex with somebody else, would you if the two people are hardline, I'm definitely not getting, having sex before I get married or doing anything sexual before I get married.
Right.
Would you consider anything cheating that they did?
Okay. I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So removing the sexual part of it out. Yeah. And I think maybe that's a good question. Like, how are we defining the word cheating?
Yeah.
Does it have to involve sex?
Right.
And so I think that,
because you said it earlier, and I was like, "Well, what do you mean?"
Yeah, no, I think it's a good question. I don't, and I think that maybe I wouldn't use. Okay, I'll use the word cheating. Okay, because if I'm saying that, especially if we have been very clear.
Good, that's what I asked.
Okay. Especially if you and another person have been clear that this is an exclusive dating relationship, right?
Okay.
Because we're going about it and we're trying to do it in a healthy manner, but we are saying, hey, we're boyfriend, girlfriend in this dating relationship. But then you're hanging out not all the time, but you're hanging out a good bit with someone else that you also have interest in.
Okay.
Then you're actually not being, and especially if you're trying to hide that from someone else, and it's then you're from the person that you're in a relationship with, you're trying to hide that from them. Yeah, that would be cheating.
So if you've said I love you to two different people at the same time,
right, yeah,
okay,
yeah,
this is the problem. the problem is like, I ask you a question and you say, well, you shouldn't say I love you unless you want to marry the person.
Yeah, Yeah.
Or you shouldn't be kissing the person if you don't already know you want to marry the person. And you shouldn't be doing this unless you don't already know that you want to marry the person.
Mm-hmm.
To which my question is, well, why don't they just get married right then after they kiss each other and that be the... But the problem is, you've got the back end of that where it's like, you should never talk to someone unless you know you want to marry someone. And you've got those Christians, and you should only be with them at church.
Right.
Unless you want to...
Right.
Unless you know you want to marry them.
Right.
If you see them outside of church, you're obviously getting married.
Right.
Right? And so all of these different factors from all of these different Christians get poured on top of kids.
Yeah.
And then they have no idea what to do.
Right.
They have to go from not knowing anyone of the opposite sex to being married in an instant, but they're not allowed to do that either.
Yeah.
And so it leaves kids with nothing. Like, it leaves everyone, like if you went to 3 different churches, you'd be out. And went to their, it went to 3 different churches, youth, dating seminar, camp, whatever things, where they talked about it.
Right.
You would come away with no idea what to do because you're not allowed to talk to anybody. Okay. They separate you on each side of the room. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. When they're talking about this stuff, they're like, girls over here, boys over here. Okay, when you leave, you need to walk opposite directions and never even know each other existed. But then when... at some point, you're supposed to say, I love you to them, and then get married the day after that. I mean, do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's absolutely crazy.
I know. I know, because there's the extremes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I get it, and I agree with you. There are the extremes.
There's two extremes on 2 ends of the spectrum.
And I think there's actually a whole
that
other...
are all encompassed in Christian, and
I think there's actually another extreme in that I've seen in church too.
The progressive Christians.
Well, not even the progressive Christian. So, all right, let me do a few different ways. So, one, I agree with you. I think there's the hard line, Christian that that's like that's the parents, the ministers, the whatever that are like, you do not date, you do not talk, you do not socialize. Like I get that there's that, right?
And then you ask any of them, and they're like, yeah, we were all on each other's shit the first time we met each other. We met at a strip club, and it just worked out for us.
Yeah,
right. It's just crazy.
I know. And we came to Christ later on.
Right.
And, I know. And so, but yeah, no, I agree. There's this side that I think is actually completely unrealistic and unhealthy.
Okay.
And to be clear, I'm talking about American culture. Okay.
American
culture.
Yeah.
And so, I agree that's unhealthy. That's why I'm sitting here saying, actually, healthy dating is possible, and it's partly to get to know that other person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got to know, you've got to be able to talk, get to know the person, And so that's why I'm actually for dating. These people over here are anti-dating.
Right.
Right. I mean,
yes.
Again, they may use the word courting.
Right.
But it's really anti-dating, and courting is only going to happen in the context of home or church.
Right.
And that's it.
Right. And that's what it was like. It was like, I have to just be at church and hope some girl thinks I'm okay. And then hope that within our interactions at church, where we weren't intentionally trying to get to know each other,
right,
that we somehow got to know each other. Like, I hope that she walks out in front of me at the same time during communion, and our hands accidentally touch in the communion cup when we put our little wafers in. Like, that's what you have to do, and then hope that sparks something, but nobody can know,
right?
Because you don't want to look like you're trying to have sex with them at church.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then you just hope that goes well. And then a day later you say, I love you. And then the day after that, you're getting married.
So you're saying,
and that's how dating works.
So you're saying that's the way you heard it when you were youth.
That was the only way to get around everybody's expectations of what you were supposed to do. Was just hope things manifest themselves somehow.
Okay. So that's
out of the ether.
Right. So that's crazy.
I mean, for real.
Yeah.
That's how they presented it.
Right. And that's also, again, and I mentioned this book earlier, that whole I Kissed Dating Goodbye.
Yeah.
Like a lot of churches embraced that concept, that mindset, and it looked like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me.
And it was like, whatever, forget this.
Yeah.
I'm going to go do it the wrong way because the right way is never going to happen.
Right. Because the problem is, too, then we're only talking to young people about dating. Right?
Right.
We're not talking, like, in other words, none of this, like, if that's dating the way you're talking about it, then none of that applies to an individual that's living outside the home.
Yeah, to someone who's 30 years old.
Yeah, 30 years old,
Yeah.
25 years old, 40 years old, whatever, right? And so that's why...
Which is why I said at the beginning of last episode, or whenever I said it, that
Right.
nobody talks to 30-year-olds about
Yeah.
dating at church.
Yeah, and shame on the church for not addressing it in a
Okay.
healthy manner. Okay?
Cool.
And so, yeah. And so, like, because the thing you're talking about is crazy. For
Right.
me, like, my perspective, that's insane.
Yeah.
The other insane part to me is the Christian parents who allow their kids to date in really in a manner that is maybe similar to what they did when they were in high school and those kind of things, of just go, and it's like they almost expect them. Oh yeah, well they're gonna, the kids are gonna date, they're gonna have sex, they're gonna.
Yeah.
That's just normal.
Yeah.
That's just part of the process. And I'm like, but no, it doesn't have to be. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. But you do
Right.
have Christian parents that think that way too, and that blows my mind.
Okay.
And so I get why you're talking about if you're.
I mean, isn't that true a little bit, though?
What's that?
Like, kids are going to... Like, I can tell them.
Yeah.
I can tell them it's wrong, but they're going to do whatever they want.
Or
You just said that.
Yeah, or the parents, though. But what I'm saying is parents going, they're not even telling the kid that's wrong.
Oh.
They're not even telling the kid that they shouldn't do that.
Oh.
They're saying, yep, that's going to happen. You need condoms? Let me know. Right?
Okay.
Like, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
I think that's a whole different communication point to the young people. And so if you got this extreme over here, then this extreme over here,
Yeah.
and then, you've got the things that I've been talking about, and you're a young person, you're hearing, like you talked about, three
Right.
different messages,
Right.
you would be absolutely confused.
Yes.
And so I don't disagree with
I didn't
that.
hear that from anybody at any of the churches I went to.
Right. No, I have been. So this is wild to me. So there was a church that I'm familiar with that the kids, instead of there was almost like a revival in the youth group, right? So like in other words, they were just like pursuing the Lord. The kids weren't drinking or partying. They were going to church on like Friday and Saturday nights and having worship services and like all this kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the parents actually got upset because the parents were like, no, but they're not really getting to live their best years, their high school years.
Oh.
Like they should be able to live their high school years. What the parents meant by that, they should be able to go drink, party, have sex, like experience life, whatever. Like, and they were actually mad and upset the kids weren't doing that, and they were coming to church.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and to me that, like, I was like, what are we talking about? Like, that's crazy. Like, in other words, I would be so excited if that was the reality for our kids or for the kids in our youth group, and they were like, no, we would rather be. And I'm not saying they have to be coming to church, but we would rather be worshiping the Lord. We'd rather be hanging out with our friends. We'd rather be, than going to do these other things. Man, I'd be thrilled if that was the status of like our youth group, or my child. And so I have seen it on this other side where parents who go to church every Sunday are just thinking, yeah, but their kids need to kind of go be kids. And that baffles me as well.
Okay,
And
so what do you tell all these groups of people that like what should a teenager know about dating that when they're getting all this information?
I know.
In church.
I know. Well, and
also, what do the 30-year-olds do? Because
Right.
nobody talks to those people.
Yeah, so I guess there's a couple things. One, so if we're talking about teenagers and young people, right?
They confuse the young people and then
They neglect.
give no direction to the 30-year-olds.
100% that's true.
I mean,
100% that's true. I have a good friend, and he is, he's about my age, mid-40s, single, and he's part of a large singles ministry that actually he started, and it's interesting because within this singles ministry, and I say singles ministry, it's like a social media like connecting point, right? Mm-hmm. So they do retreats, they do trips, all this kind of stuff, as like they'll and it's I mean, I don't know, I think the number of followers, people in the group is like in the low thousands. Mm-hmm. And like they do these big retreats, these all that kind of stuff, but that's part of it. It's like, hey, we want to create environments where singles can actually get around each other, one, but then two, let's actually talk about what that looks like for us.
Yeah.
What does it look like for us as individuals in our 30s and 40s and 50s to date, right? What does that look like? And so
now everyone go back to your individual hotel rooms and we'll see you at 7 a.m.
Right.
Individual hotel rooms.
But I do think that's part of it. Like
the person at the front desk just has porn coming down there. Oh my God.
Unfortunately, that's the case.
I know
too. And so I do think that it's about what I'm getting to as well. Like that's sad to me that they have to actually have their own kind of like ministry that specifically addresses that he's had to create for this, because there's such a gap in this for Christian, singles in their 30s, 40s, 50s, late 20s, whatever it may be.
90s.
Yeah, 90s, sure. And, but that's wild to me because that also means the church is not speaking toward it.
Right.
And so I think you bring up a really good point. The church should speak to all groups more on what actually healthy dating can look like. And to be honest with you, as you're sitting here talking about it, I'm sitting here going, man, I need to make sure I address this with the parents in our congregation who have children, right? They're still in the home. Like, what does it look like to parent your child through dating, and through this whole process? And so, because I do think a lot of it, for me, I think youth pastors and mentors can all say things, but to me, the individuals that have the greatest influence are actually the parents.
And it gets down to crazy stuff like you can only date someone from our church.
Okay, yeah, now that's nuts.
And like you're just, I'm so boxed in that I'm just gonna go fuck everyone. Seriously, that's where you come to. It's like, screw it. Like you've put me in such a little thing that it's like, screw it. Like, what do you want me to do?
Right.
Like,
yeah, it's created an impossible situation.
Yes.
Yeah. I can remember talking to parents one time, and they kind of had a mindset what you're talking about. Like, right, our kids aren't going to date. They're going to, and they're going to, they're going to have to, their boyfriend's going to have to come to the house, or not boyfriend, but the person who's interested in them.
Yeah.
Is going to have to come to the house. They will be allowed to court, but not date. All this kind of stuff. And I looked at them, I said, what happens when your child is no longer living with you?
Yeah.
And let's say they're living out of, in a different city or different state. Like, what are they going to do in dating? Like, what does dating look like?
How do they know how to date properly when they're not at home?
Right. And the parents looked at me, looked at each other, looked back at me, and realized in a moment that their 17-year-old, child was not prepared at all.
Yeah.
To leave the house in a year. Right. If that's what the child chose to do.
Right.
Because they had never thought through it that far.
Right.
And I do think
this is sort of a general sheltering problem.
Yes.
Because you could do that with literally everything.
Right. 100%. And so that's what I'm saying. I think that's why you've got these extremes, right? Yeah. You've got like the extremes of like, this is the structure, and then you got the other one that's just like, go do whatever you want to do. And actually we encourage you to go do things. And so I think that's why healthy dating should be talked about, discussed. And I'm not saying the way I laid it out is like perfect, okay? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying the way I laid it out hits everything 100%. And there's probably
But it is a way of laying it out that allows me a little bit of freedom, I guess.
Yeah. Because we're not saying don't date. We're not
Right.
saying don't hang out with the opposite sex. We're not saying don't go do things together. Like, right? Like, it's just the manner in which we approach it, you know, and keeping not just the physical boundaries, but also keeping some emotional boundaries by how quickly I say I love you or those kind of things. But then also saying, hey, we want to make sure God's part of this equation.
And your process allows people of all ages to participate in what you laid out.
I would hope so.
Except for people that can't drive their own cars.
Right. I mean, that would, you know.
And meet at Starbucks.
That's right. Maybe they'd have a Zoom call from Starbucks.
Yeah.
I don't
You're
know.
going to have to come to my house because quadriplegic.
Right. Well, that's the case.
Can't make it to Starbucks.
If that's okay, you can go pick them up. If that's the case,
right,
you can go pick them up. So
literally.
just imagine. Let's go on our date, honey.
Well, we're done.
We need to be. So.
Cool. Okay. Well, the next episode, we are going to start with 30-year-olds.
Okay. That sounds good.
Because you need to talk to them.
I would love to.
Because nobody else does.
Well, there are people that do, but
yeah.
Be happy to as well.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been the When I Heard This podcast. You can follow the podcast on Facebook and Instagram at When I Heard This podcast and X and locals at When I Heard This. Ring the notification bell. Tell everyone that you know about the show and go to the website where there's t-shirts. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Nate Robinsoff, and you can follow Joseph on Instagram at
Rev Joe T.
This has been the When I Heard This podcast. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.